Jonathan is the president of the Global Security Institute. He's an attorney, an author, an international advocate, emphasizing the legal and ethical dimensions of human development and security. His specific focus is on advancing the rule of law to address international security and the threats posed by nuclear weapons. I really appreciate, Jonathan, how you balance kind of that level of intensity with your spirituality. And I loved how you shared the 99 names of God. There's several that I had never heard before. So I just want to acknowledge that beautiful balance of being in the world and also being, clearly a bodhisattva. So thank you for being with us.
This is a day of prayer. We will have to have another day of action, and action has to be based on understanding and strategy and knowledge of the world. But morally informed policies that are not practical will dissolve into mere sentiment. And policies that are allegedly practical without moral coherence are dangerous. So it's where the practical and the moral come together is where we have to meet. And we are the first generation in which the moral admonition of the wise to see the human family as one has become a practical necessity. The third lung that we share of the phytoplankton of the oceans, 50% of our oxygen, cannot be solved at the level of nation or religion or gender or race. It's a global lung. The climate doesn't have borders. Pandemics don't have borders. The financial system of the world doesn't have borders. This neighborhood that Jesus spoke of, to treat your neighbor as yourself, is a moral location today, and it is the whole world. And this is new. And it is a practical necessity now. And there is no hurdle as severe as the nuclear weapon that prevents us from having the cooperation necessary to take care of our planet home, to take care of our lungs, to take care of the water that we need. Because like nothing else that humans have created, it institutionalizes terror. Deterrence means terror. When people are afraid, if you're not afraid, you're not awake. Deterrence means with terror. That is what deterrence is about. And we are but moments away from accident, design, or madness to ending this gift of life. Since 2000, when the nuclear weapon states pledged an unequivocal undertaking to eliminate all nuclear weapons, they pledged that at the meeting of the Nuclear Nonproliferation Treaty. The world has spent in excess of $30 trillion on military expenditures. And the main pillar of those expenditures are nuclear weapons. As Joe Biden once said, don't show me your values, show me your budget. These devices of death, as my political mentor said, Alan Cranston, are unworthy of civilization. George Kennan, who was one of the most insightful of our leaders in foreign policy during the Cold War, said it clearer than anyone I've ever heard. And wasn't it interesting to see Secretary of State and a Secretary of Defense praying with us? The readiness to use nuclear weapons against other human beings, against people we don't know, whom we've never seen, whose guilt or innocence is not for us to establish, and in doing so, to place in jeopardy the natural structure upon which all civilization rests, as though the safety and perceived interest of our own generation were more important than everything that has taken place or could take place in civilization. This is nothing less than a presumption, a blasphemy, an indignity of monstrous dimensions. offered to God. So as a very, very basic thing, and I'd love to have a meeting where we talk about the tools that we have to change this. But as a minimum, we should be asking every political leader, what are you doing to get rid of nuclear weapons? It's not a partisan issue. Richard Nixon brought us the Nuclear Nonproliferation Treaty. Ronald Reagan was a nuclear abolitionist. But there's an enormous amount of money spent to keep this off of the public sphere. That's another discussion. But every one of us could be asking, because the president of the United States ran on a ticket of no first use, to pledge never to use them first. But we don't have that as a policy because he doesn't have the voices backing him up. He has our hearts. I know him, his heart is with us. This is a man of virtue, a man of compassion, but he doesn't have the wind in his sails because we've been in the closet. Everyone's come out of the closet and they have a right to come out of the closet. We have to come out of the closet. People who really believe in the power of love. We need to shine it. I'm going to end with a prayer, and my expertise is in treaties. I'm a neophyte in prayer. I've just seen a few grains of sand on the beach, but I want to share one of them. That Nagasaki and Hiroshima be the last use of a nuclear weapon. That nuclear weapons never be used. Oh, dear God, guide us to eliminate these devices, the apex of creative evil, and all devices of massive, indiscriminate death. Please guide us. Each of us came into this world responding to our mother's love. Each of us came here seeking family and love. Each of us became identified with nation, gender, religion, and forgot we are one human family, and every person is as precious as we are. But still, in the stillness in our hearts remains a light of the soul, seeking, resonating, and longing for that love that brought us into this world. That love awakens and informs our universal humanity and awakens hearts without borders. Intelligence has given us insights into the wondrous secrets of matter, energy, space, and time. Fear, ignorance, arrogance, pride, hatred, and prejudice have led us to use these insights to create devices of incomprehensible power to inflict indescribable suffering. Please, dear Lord, creator of every life, every heartbeat, every blade of grass, every moment, every one of us, universes and galaxies beyond counting, and mysteries beyond imagination, O glorious source of love and life, forgive us for forgetting you and your infinite blessings. Friend within all friendship, love within all loves, life within all lives, witness of all and everything. Bless us with the wisdom that comes from compassion, such that we will skillfully eliminate these devices of death. Guide us to use the gift of intelligence to heal, sustain, harmonize, understand, glorify you, our humanity, and honor your creation. Guide us to end the suffering of poverty, to protect nature, to love one another, and remove ignorance from our hearts. Grant us hearts of gratitude and courage, such that we will not falter in bringing peace and beauty and unity into your human family. Help us eliminate these devices of horror and the motives from which we create them. Please guide us in beautiful ways of peace, such that our lives be witnesses to your goodness. Guide us with kindness, love, and the gentle hand, that we might become fully human. All praises are yours. All praises are yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Hmm. Jonathan, before you go, I would like for you to just share with us a little bit about the Global Security Institute. This is Jonathan's organization that he's working with, gsinstitute.org, gsinstitute.org.
Sure.
Um,
Sure, I'd be glad
how,
to.
yeah, tell us, how can we
So
work?
it was started at a meeting in San Francisco in the room where the UN Charter was first signed, with myself. People that were at that meeting were General Lee Butler, who had been head of the targeting and readiness of the entire arsenal and had an epiphany when he went to Russia and realized the humanity of Russians. Richard Butler, who at the time was head of the UN Special Commission, Disarmament, Saddam Hussein. George Bunn, one of the main drafters of the Nuclear Nonproliferation Treaty, Mikhail Gorbachev, and Senator Alan Cranston. So President Gorbachev is now on our board of advisors, as is Jane Goodall and Oscar Arias and Rigoberto Menchu-Tum and people like that. And so it was started because we realized there wasn't a sort of professional organization focused on the tools of diplomacy and the rule of law and the abolition of nuclear weapons. Why? Because that's not exciting. You know, it's not the same as I'm on Jane Goodall's board, and it's exciting to save chimpanzees, children, and forests. It's fulfilling. It's fulfilling to be in Pachamama and save the planet, save the living forests. The nuclear weapons, the tools that you do that are legal instruments, treaties, and things like that. And the issue is not the issue. The issue demands a sense of purity that you can't see the results so quickly. So we felt we needed to create such an organization. So Senator Cranston passed away, and actually Senator Biden and Senator Kerry came to the board and said, "Don't fold this." So I folded my law practice, and since that time, I've devoted myself to being a lawyer for future generations, focusing on the tools that we have. So we have a program called Parliamentarians for Nuclear Nonproliferation and Disarmament, which is about 700 parliamentarians in about 80 countries. It's nonpartisan. Ed Markey is one of our co-presidents in the United States. The Nonpartisan Security Group, two of the members of that were in the prayer, Ambassadors Goodby and Graham. And so our focus is on trying to utilize the tools of law and diplomacy. But as Bishop Swing has reminded me very powerfully, the secret sauce is the power of spirit. The secret sauce that's missing is people who are truly, truly inspired, have got to see this issue as key and understand this is the hurdle, because the institutionalization of fear and adversity creates a cycle of militarization, which reinforces the cycle of fear. Of course, the first step of disarmament is our own hearts. And as our hearts disarm, the paradox is, as our hearts disarm, our fear diminishes, our courage expands, because courage that rests in spirit is infinite, because you know that you are forever. So this is a new phenomena, because this is a new time. But the tools of law and diplomacy are the tools through which nations speak. So I am personally deeply engaged now in trying to change the paradigm from military nationalism to human security. And I'm doing that with an organization called the World Academy of Arts and Science, which was started by Bertrand Russell, Albert Einstein, Oppenheimer, to try and change that paradigm. And part of that change is the elimination of nuclear weapons. But we have to move to a human security paradigm. And that's what our unity is about.
Beautiful. Just a reminder for everybody to keep themselves muted, because we're hearing somebody's noise.
I thought you were telling me to stop. Let me just finish about human security.
No, Jonathan, that wasn't me. So please continue. Oh, but now you're muted.
In the 17th century, when people in Central Europe were slaughtering each other over whose definition of Jesus' love was superior, a bunch of wonks, like the people in the Global Security Institute, got together in a place called Westphalia and wrote a bunch of paper that said, we're going to make nation states. We'll make Protestant nations and Catholic nations, and they'll stop killing each other. That's the origin of the modern state. So we created states in order to express our values and serve for peace. Now we have needs that transcend the capacity of the nation state to address. Pandemics don't carry passports, neither does the climate. So we need to have a framework that says nation states can only serve their people with a global cooperative system. And that's true. And I've lectured all over, I've been lectured at China and Russia. People do understand this. They do understand this everywhere. It is an awakening. It is an awakening. You don't see it in the newspapers, but we know it in our hearts, because this is the time in which the moral imperative found in the Upanishads over the parliament in Delhi, the world is one family. This truth has now become necessary, and human security is its expression. So you'll be hearing a lot of that. There's an effort to mainstream this concept in the way 40 years ago, when we talked about development, there was no adjective of sustainable. Now that's mainstream. Development used to be just expanded GDP, global, just pure economics without sustainability. Security has been too much defined by military. It now needs to be defined by human. And that's our work, to bring our humanity into action. So the tools of law and diplomacy and the energy of pure love, nothing can stop that.
Jonathan, thank you so much. It's really an honor to have you with us. And I hope you get a chance to read all the comments coming in the chat box, because you've inspired a lot of people.
I'm going to try. I gave a speech yesterday in the General Assembly Hall of the UN, and I will try.
Like that. I'm being careful.
People, please mute yourselves.
Actually,
I'll try and post it.
there.
I'll try and post it, because I did my best to bring this message into a hall where the meeting of 191 nations. And there's a need for, there needs to be more people doing this. I mean, there's a lot of people. Look, there's 115 nations in nuclear weapons-free zones. There's a treaty to ban nuclear weapons. There's the International Court of Justice has unanimously ruled there's a duty to negotiate elimination. The law is on our side. And as you could see, there's plenty of gravitas on our side. What is missing is the wind in the sails of our political leadership. We have got to get this message to the people. And we are the people we've been waiting for. We are the people whose hearts and consciences say, we don't judge a lot of things. And we're not judging people. We know that people have these weapons because they want to bring peace to the world. That's the irony of the whole thing. There's not bad people. They're just mistaken. Just like people were mistaken in the 17th century when they fought to the death over whose definition of Jesus' love was better. And we all know that the characteristic of that love turns all of them into just us. And that's the justice of just us.
Jonathan, you're right on. And I know that our people are really enjoying what you're saying. Again, one more time, I want to encourage people to please go to this beautiful website and if you go to the home page again, it's there's Parliamentarians for Nuclear Nonproliferation and Disarmament. And I've put into the chat box a little bit about Jonathan and his websites. And again, it's also the Global Security Institute. So it's gsinstitute.org, gsinstitute.org. And that's where you can learn all about it. Let's donate, let's put in our money, let's put in our support. There's a lot of different programs that we can join. This is important. At the very least, please at least subscribe. But let's all maybe take an action. subscribing is a good first action to take. I'm doing that right now, obviously.
Thank you.
Yeah, but let's also donate, everybody. Jonathan, you're doing really, really incredibly important work. And again, I'm honored to have you on our show, and thank you.
Anytime, it's my honor to be with people who have hearts without borders is as healing as any other medicine that exists.
Thank you.
Thank you, brother. Actually, I went to bed at 4 o'clock in the morning,
Oh,
and we did the prayer service yesterday at the church center at the UN, and then I spoke in the General Assembly Hall, and then I did a Sufi meeting this afternoon, and then all of these prayer things all day. So I'm just starting to fade, and I wanted before I just turn into fudge, and forgive me, there was a simple action that I wanted to share that I thought, as a minimum, we should leave this with some taking. The poem is, "The heart without the hand withers. The hand without the heart is dangerous. When the heart and the hand come together with the wisdom of unity, then salt is turned to sugar. Tears of affliction, old age, sickness, death, betrayal, disappointment are turned into the sugar of love and service and liberation." So in that spirit, I wanted to suggest four things in the form of 4 questions. And these come from one of the hats I wear is I'm the senior advisor to the World Summits of Nobel Peace Prize winners, and I'm the representative to the UN of the winners of the Nobel Prize. And in one of our meetings, we wanted to give a general thing that everybody could do that we thought would be transformative. There were only 3 questions, but I'm going to add one for us. The 3 questions were, every political representative should be asked by all of us, because we don't need to tell them how to do it. They can find out from one of them. There's plenty of experts in nuclear disarmament. You saw them in the voices. That's an example of people who know the system. Well, first question, what are you doing to protect the climate? Because to protect the climate opens up economic change, opens up renewable energy, so many things. What are you doing to protect the climate? We care about that. 2, what are you doing to eliminate poverty? Never before in human history have we had the ability to eliminate poverty. We have the resources. It's a failure of political will. 3, what are you doing to eliminate nuclear weapons? Not whether you should or not, but what are you doing to get this sword away from our necks? And the 4th question for every one of us. So that's the questions we need to call up our congressman, call up our mayors, call up the head of your university, call up your senator, ask them, what are you doing on these 3 issues? These are issues that I care about, and I have networks of friends, and we're all going to ask you, what are you doing about these issues? And then we have to ask ourselves, what am I doing to find the source and highest love within myself, and nurturing it with my commitments, with my intentions and my actions? What am I doing to find the source of love within myself and bringing it into life and action? Now, that's a question that is very fulfilling, because, and I promise you, if you ask that question with sincerity and be still, you will be gifted with an opportunity to bring it into action. That we don't have to do. The great giver of life itself has given us all the gift of love, and it has given us it will show the capacity to arrange your life such that that intention will be nurtured and fulfilled. But we have to have that intention to bring it into action. So thank you so much, Scott, for letting me share this. I'm going to stay around, but I was just concerned that I wouldn't have the clarity of energy to share those three questions. What are you doing to protect the climate? What are you doing to eliminate poverty? What are you doing to eliminate nuclear weapons? And what am I doing to find that pure love and bring it into action?
Thank you so much. I did scribble them all down and put them in the chat box. I didn't get the exact wording on the one for us, but I think I got the essence of it.
I think you're doing it.
No, thank